So this is the first video that will be looking at the EdgeDB-Tokio client, which is made to use EdgeDB with Rest. And I put together a repo as well over the past few days with a bunch of examples. Let's see, where did it go? Right there. So this is sort of it's almost the same thing as this here. So this repo is, if you want to just give it a try, you can just stop the video and you can clone this, and then just type the commands EdgeDB project init, then migration create, EdgeDB migrate, cargo run, and then it'll run, and then you can fool around and do it yourself. Whereas this video is a little bit, it's going to show it step by step to show how everything works. So let's see where. So yeah, so it's starting from, so you have your cargo project here, and see there's nothing there except hello world. And the only thing I did is I cheated a bit because I don't want to wait for this to compile. So these are the main dependencies you'll probably need. This is for using, this is a drive macro. If you want to, you can put this on top of your structs. EdgeDB, this is the main one. This is the client itself. EdgeDB-Tokio. Protocol, that's for like all the typed names and things inside EdgeDB itself, or the Rest version of it rather. And then of course you've got JSON, and then Tokio because the client is async, so it's not blocking. And if you want to have a blocking non-async function, then you can have Tokio runtime, and there is a way to do that just in case. Let's see, where is it? Tokio bridge async, or should be bridging with sync rather. So just in case you have a project that's all sync and you don't want to have any async in there, and you want to isolate it. So there is a good post here on Tokio, and the main thing is you just have a builder, runtime builder. You have a runtime itself, and then you call block on all the time. Where is it? There's like 3 methods inside here. You can put the runtime inside a struct, and you can use that, and you can call these methods on it that hold the runtime here, or you can just create a runtime. There you go. So you have a runtime. It can be multi-thread or single thread, and then you just call block on every time you have an async function. But anyway, in this we're just going to do the regular async, which is what it's mostly written for. And so we'll do that. So first thing we want to do, make it async, then go Tokio main. Oh, and also let's open up the terminal, because right now inside here you can see there's nothing, no files to do with EdgeDB, so we want to start an instance. And this assumes that you have the CLI installed. If not, just go into hdb.com and hit install, and then you'll have if you do EdgeDB help, and you can see all this information, then it's been successfully installed. So EdgeDB, what is it? Project init. I think it was. So in cargo, when you do a cargo, hold on a second, is that even showing up? There we go. Yeah, so in cargo, it'll always start a new directory, a new folder, depending on if you're using Windows or Linux, and it'll put everything inside there. Whereas EdgeDB, you want to be inside the project, because databases ride on other projects. You don't usually just make a database and that's it. So you have you go inside the folder, and instead of giving a name, it'll prompt you for the name. So do you want to initialize a new project? Sure. The name, we'll call it EdgeDB samples, because that's the name of the folder. And then specify the version, and the version is 2.13, which is the newest version, so that's fine. And then finally, it makes it for you. And you can see here on the top left, it's creating this this DB schema. It's initializing the instance, and so on. So we can actually look at this while it's a lot faster when you're not recording a video, by the way. So inside, it also makes an EdgeDB.toml. And right now it's just used to get the version, but it's also used when starting the client. It looks for an EdgeDB-toml, and if it can find it, then it initializes it. And if not, then you have to use environment variables. But on your own computer, this is the easiest way. You have the hdb-toml. And then, so you can see inside here, DB schema default. So this is your whole schema. Always starts with module default. You can have other modules, but this is the main one that it starts with. And then migrations. There's nothing in there because we haven't done migration, so we can do one right now. And this, by the way, you can see these are Postgres messages. That's pretty much the only time I've ever seen Postgres messages is when you initialize the database. So there's that. I wonder if it started already. I'm going to wonder if I can open another terminal. Okay, let's all right, so the project is not initiated. We're still waiting for it then. In the meantime, so module default, you can do things like type. Let's say you want like a musician, and you can have property name. That's a stir, and then you can have like I guess you want them all to have a name, so you make that a required property. And then property band name, something like that. Super simple. There we go. And so now it is the instance has started up, and so you can do things like start playing around with it. Select this is a string. There you go, and it'll give that back to you inside of a set, because everything is a set in EdgeDB. So now let's get out of here, and we're going to do a migration. So what you do to do that, EdgeDB migration create, then it starts a migration, and what a migration does is you have so this here is declarative. So this is showing what you want the final state to be, and then inside it makes these imperative commands to tell the program or the compiler how to get there. So it made the migration, and then you go EdgeDB migrate to complete it, and you can see it creates the this file here, which is where you can check the steps if you want to make sure. So you can see here's how it got from nothing to this state here. So it made a musician, and it made a there you go, create type default musician, create property, create required property, and that's what it did to get to this this schema here. And inside this sample, this collection of samples, it uses the the schema from the tutorial, and I'll just show you that. So here inside EdgeDB itself, there's a tutorial, and you can do stuff like, play around with it, do your own queries, and it has a schema, and so I thought might as well use this because this is the one that people are using a lot. And you can see here's the graphical version, but then you can also do text, and then take that, and we'll just copy and paste. Copy that, go back to VS Code, and then we're going to replace it with that, and then we're going to do migration. All right, EdgeDB migration create. So this time it'll be a little bit more. It'll probably ask a few questions, like did you drop this and this type? Then you go yes or no. Did you add this property? There you go. So did you drop property band name? I did, because it's gone now. Did you rename object type? Yep. Rename it to default person? Not exactly, but doesn't matter here because there's no data. Yep, I did. Yep. Did you create? I certainly did. Yep. It's funny, every time I read this, I read it as why did you create? Why did you create object type? Even though there's no y in there. Okay, so there you go. It's a little bit longer migration than the last one, and you can go into here and see all the steps if you care. I don't care because it's going to work, guaranteed. So, oops, not cargo. EdgeDB migrate, and now we have the new schema. It's definitely faster when you're not filming a video. And then now we can insert some stuff. So EdgeDB, just EdgeDB. So that will bring you into the REPL. And then we can do this. Go to the schema, and let's say we want to insert, what do we want to do? We want to insert a movie. So what does a movie need? I forget. Release here, not required, so I'm not going to put it in. Content, we have a title is required. So I'm going to put in this Korean movie I saw last week, Ungnami. It's about this, well, maybe not get into that. Multi-link actors, that's not required. So I guess that's all I need to make a movie. Then select a movie, and we can do this, select movie, title. So there we go. So that works. And now that we have our schema and everything set up, then we can get into the Rust client. So where to start? And the first thing you do is, I'll just bring up the documents. So if you go to EdgeDB-tokio, you can see, okay, the main way is to use a client, and it makes a connection pool, blah, 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 blah. You make queries, 5 methods on the client, so that's pretty normal. And then there we go. So this is all you need to do to make a client. So EdgeDB-tokio, create client like that, and then you can start calling things on it, calling queries. So we will do that. So let's make a client. Let client equals EdgeDB-tokio create client, and let's just await.unwrap. And let's just run that, and I should open up, oops, what am I doing? I should open up a command line just so I can, I wonder if it's faster. Oh, too late, I'm already filming. All right, let's see if it works. Now this will usually look for an EdgeDB toml, or it'll look for environment variables and see if it can set up the client. So this should be okay because we have we're in this directory and we have EdgeDB toml for it to find. And while we're at it, we can look inside the function. So you go client new, calls quite a few methods actually. It makes this builder. You can do a builder manually if you want to. There you go. So it worked. If you want to set it up yourself in a different way, you call this builder initialized, and then you do whatever you want after that. You call these builder methods and set things like what do you do? Set passwords and configuration addresses and so on. So, and then inside there, it also looks for the EdgeDB toml. And so it worked here. And there we go. So we're going to do our first query. And that is so. So there's basically 6 main methods when you do a query. So you have query, which will give you a vec of whatever it is that implements, what's it called? I always forget. It's called implement query arg, I think. There you go. And which is, but basically a query, you just, there you go, just write something there, just make it a stir. And then arguments is going to be, well, you don't need arguments right now. Arguments is like if you have a, let's say select like that, and you want to select, this is like an EdgeDB syntax right here. So let's say you want to put these in later. Then you have like the arguments are going to be like hello and goodbye, like that. And so that will stick, not exactly writing like this, but it'll stick this into there and this into there. So that's what arguments are about. But we're not going to use arguments right now. And so when you don't, so most of the time, if you don't have arguments, you just do that. So this empty tuple, the unit type, just means a reference to it. It means there's no arguments. And so it'll just look at the query and it'll ignore this part here. So let's get to the first one, which is just, what's it called? Straight from the tutorial. So you just go select, and then you go, hold on, where did it go? Also in EdgeDB, singular double quotes are the same. So I find when you're writing these queries, you just use single quotes all the time, because then Rust doesn't care. It doesn't notice that it's a string on the inside. So this is a query fetching a string. Await.unwrap. And then once you do that, it's going to say, hold on a second, what are you expecting? And so what you do here is you just tell it the type. Oh, I didn't even say. Okay, let query res equals this. Actually, let's close this part here so you can see. And then I can make the text bigger again. Client query dot await dot unwrap. There we go. So it doesn't know what it's going to be. So you just tell it that's going to be a string, like that. One other way you can do it, which is kind of, hold on, what's going on? All right, this is a query will return a vec of what it found. So query required single. So that is if you know it's going to be single, then it'll return just a result of a single one. So the query must return exactly one element. So if you're sure about that, you can do that, and then you don't have to work through a vec of results. So you can print that out. Query res. First result is query res. And it should say exactly the same thing here. So there it is. The result is this is a query fetching a string. And now let's do something more interesting, which is let's insert something. So let's say let query res equals client dot query. This time we're going to let's insert something. So we're going to say insert musician and name equals, oh, not musician, movie name, or was it title. Let's move this to the next line. Title equals same movie as before, Korean movie, Nami. Dot await dot unwrap Now here, the interesting part is when you insert a movie, it's going to return a, hold on, query required single. I know there's going to be one. So it's going to return this this object that it inserted with the UUID. So I'm going to say value, and what that is just like an EdgeDB type. All of the types they're inside this big big enum. So there's like, there you go, nothing, UUID, blah, 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 object shape. So there's this is all the possible types that you can get back. And so we'll do that. And what, oh, of course, and we don't want to put any arguments into there. Okay, so we're going to print this out, and this is going to be sort of like a nested looking thing. So I'm going to print it out like that, so you can see, because it contains like the shape of the object as well. And actually, yeah, first we'll look at that, and then the next step is so you can make like Rust types and then add queryable on top, or you can also turn it into JSON and then deserialize into a Rust type, or you can just go through this value. So you can see here's what came back. So we inserted a movie. It's an object, and it's object shape. And here's the most interesting part. So fields, and it has one UUID. So this is the only thing that came back. But anyway, that is that shows that it successfully was inserted. And so we should see 2 movies inside there because we put in a movie before. So select movie title like that, and it should give us 2. There you go. So we have 2 movies, and I think the video is getting a bit long, so I'm going to stop here. So this is like the the simplest kind of queries you can see, and in the next video get into other ones like JSON queries, queryable, putting that on your structs, above your structs. What else? Oh, quite a bit. Putting arguments in, also called parameters. They kind of use the same word or both words for the same thing, I think. So there you go. I'll see you in the next video.